Stories like these are becoming more and more commonplace today, so much that we hardly even take notice. Public education is taking an increasingly anti-Christian stand. This is no surprise. In fact, it's part of the plan. Perhaps you've heard of John Dewey. Historically, he's recognized as the father of modern education. He and a few like-minded scholars wrote this document called the Humanist Manifesto. In this document, they laid a foundation that holds the principles of today's modern education. Dewey and his peers did not believe in God or the Bible. Humanism denies salvation by God and replaces it with salvation by men. In essence, humanism believes that man is his own God. In fact, Dewey helped to incorporate the teaching of evolution theory into our school systems since it reinforced his own disbelief in God and the Bible. So what role does humanism play in our public schools?
Education is thus the most powerful ally of humanism, and every American school is a school of humanism. What could a theistic Sunday school meeting for an hour once a week and teaching only a fraction of the children do to stem the tide of a 5-day program of humanistic teaching? Charles F. Potter. We must ask, how can we kill the God of Christianity? We need only to ensure that our schools teach only secular knowledge. If we could achieve this, God would indeed be shortly due for a funeral service. G. Richard Bozarth.
While there are many good, gifted, and committed teachers and administrators in our public school system, we as Christians cannot ignore the dangers that every day when we send our children to school, we are sending them into the lion's den. We have a responsibility to finding out what God's will is for our children's education. Whether that means going to a public school, a private school, or homeschooling, it's vitally important that we as Christians are prayerfully committed to finding out God's will for our children's education. And there is hope. God has a vested interest in your children. And if it's His will that they go somewhere other than a public school, then we'd love to tell you about the Christian Academy of Western New York.
Why do I send my child to Christian Academy of Western New York? For Trace and I, it was a solution to a problem. We didn't think that public school was the best answer for us. And we had talked about homeschooling, but her and I being a working mom and dad, we knew that was probably not going to change. And so that's what led us to Christian Academy of Western New York, and it's been a good solution for the past 6 years. I know that she gets individualized attention. I know that the classrooms are of a manageable size, and it's like dropping her off with family.
I was fortunate enough to have private Christian education throughout K through 12, and I think I was much more prepared than a lot of my friends that went to the public schools. And just as far as what they're teaching them, as far as evolution versus creation, most of them weren't offered anything different. The creation wasn't part of their program. And then with the health education that they receive, there is nothing about abstinence.
The values and principles that they're learning here are supporting what we're teaching them at home and what we're trying to bring them up with. That's one thing that was very important to me, that they weren't going to hear one thing from us and then hear something else.
That's a really good point. I mean, that's the fact that it fits in, it dovetails in with what we're teaching at home.
We were speaking with one of the graduates that had graduated last year. It was absolutely amazing. He said, his mom was one of the first ones to go ahead and enroll him, so he was in from kindergarten straight through 12th grade. And she said at the time that they were not quite sure if they could go ahead and make the sacrifice. And she said all the way through, she kept saying there's no better investment than helping my son to become a good young man. And she said, and now, 13 years later, I would have it no other way. What I would invest for a home or a car would be nothing if I would have lost my child to values of the world.
We hold in our hands our children's future. And we can decide whether their education is dictated by the world's standards or by the standards set by God in His Word.
The Christian Academy of Western New York. Pray about it and pick up the phone. Let's explore the possibilities. We'd love to partner with you in raising your precious children.